Good. So today we were trying to look at how to cleanse our data. And we said that once you go to the data view, that's where you cleanse your data. And to cleanse your data, you need to look at places where there are missing values or values that do not correspond with your coding. Now, just looking at it up and down, scrolling like this will not help, and it can be very dangerous. So the next thing I recommended that you should do is to click on variable labels, and if you don't see it on your dashboard here, you can go to view. On your shortcut you can go to view and take value labels, where it can come like this, and you look from it, you identify abnormalities there, you identify data set or data entries that are not supposed to be there. And when you have already done that, when you find a problem, you need to identify the questionnaire number, go to that questionnaire, and then come and correct. In case you have done all of this, you need to test to see if everything is fine by going to analyze and running a descriptive statistics for frequencies only. You go, and this is the way you are going to make your variables. I've always recommended that when you made your variables like this, what is showing here is not your variable names, is your variable labels. You see labels are selected, but you want to look at variable names. You click on variable names to see your variables clearly. But since you want to check for everything, you just take Control A, or you could not still take Control A, but you start selecting everything by taking Control and you are clicking down, click, 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 click. That's going to take a lot of time. Just take Control A, and then you use this button to send it to the variables. Then you click OK. Your first focus is the long table that will show you the total number of cases, which is your sample, and the missing values. Here, as you can see, we already corrected, so there is no missing value. The second thing is to check these other tables to make sure that there are no unusual values here. You could see strongly agree, disagree, agree, and then here strongly agree, and then 9 or 6 or something. Know that that's an issue that you need to correct. You go back to that particular entry and correct. You look at it like that. Once you are very sure that everything is okay, you can now proceed to run your reliability test. And to run your reliability test, you go to analyze, you go to scale, and take reliability. I told you that we are running reliability for alpha, that's the Combach alpha. And now you don't do reliability test for demographic information. So to your best interest, you still need to right click and take display variable names, so that you know exactly what you want to measure or test for reliability. You could still be selecting one after the other like this, but to me it takes a lot of time, so I continue to take I prefer to take Control A. When it selects all, I hold my control and I unselect what I don't need, like that. I go down and unselect what I don't need, okay, and I push the rest to the item column or item box, and then I take OK. It is going to bring out your reliability, and there is a summary table here to show you all the cases. You have 107, which is 100%. Excluded, you did not exclude any. Total, you had 1 on this. And given that you could equally test item by item, yeah, you could equally test construct by construct. If you want to test just a particular construct, let us say you want to test the reliability just for Google Classroom, you could go to your analyze, still go to your scale, go to your reliability. If it is like this, you change your variable names as usual, then you select on the Google Classroom, Google Classroom, Google Classroom, Google Classroom. You send it to the box for items and you run the test. You see that the test just for Google Classroom is 0.0 is 0.6, Yes, so you have 6 items there. So you could run like that for all the constructs differently, or you could do a general uh, uh, a test for reliability. Depends on you. But at times there are studies that want you to test construct by construct. So you just go and select the 6 items for each construct and test them, and then you put the coefficients. At the end, you also test for the general one, which we started by doing, and that will be all about testing hypothesis. But then there are some cases where you test like this, and then you feel that the value is not very good and you could adjust it. So you could go to another method where you adjust it and see if you can increase this coefficient. How do you do that? You go to analyze. I hope I am recording this. Okay, you go to analyze, you go to scale, take reliability. Now at this point you have to go to statistics, okay, and check on scale if item deleted. This one, scale if item deleted. You come to continue. You want to test only for this Google Classroom, but you want to improve on the uh, uh, coefficient. If the item is deleted, the item that might be bringing out the coefficient, bringing down. So you take OK. At this point, you will see a table called item total statistics. Now, at this point, you come to the last one for Chrombash Alpha if item deleted. That's the one that you selected. Now, you start looking at it. The value that you had in the first one was 0.6, right? 00. Now, you could go to 0.614 if you delete the first item of Google Classroom. Now, let's go and delete that item and see. Let's go to that. Let's go and delete. We go to scale, analyze. We take out this first item and we concentrate on this 5. We take OK. Now, look at your new reliability. Your new reliability coefficient becomes 0.614 instead of what? Instead of 0.600. You see that it has at least increased. There are some that you need to do like this until it reaches the point where you can actually use for your analysis. But the implication here is that when you see that an item has been deleted and it increases the coefficient, the implication is that you need to take back that item and see if you can restructure it for respondents to answer it again before you insert it into your data set. Means that there is a problem with it. That's the implication of what this means. Okay, any problem, any question, any question? All right, if there is no question, then in our next class we are going to look at how we can test for normality. We are still doing the checks. These are the checks that you do before you start running your analysis. You know, when you have a car in the morning, you need to do some checks. You need to check the oil level, you need to check the water level, you need to check the battery, you need to check the tires, you need to check the lighting, everything that you need to check with a car before you start the car. So it's the same thing with data analysis. You need to check your data set to be sure that it is clean, to be sure that it has reliability, and to be sure that there is normality before you can actually run your analysis. So that is all for today. I wish you the best, and I just want to announce that